23, approximately 12:03. And the Baltimore County Police Accountability Board will now come to order. I will go through calling the roll call. District 1.
Peter Patrick for this one.
District 2, yours truly, present. District 3.
Ralph Dennis, present.
District 4.
Dick Chambers present.
And District 5.
Renee Stroud, present.
District 6.
Good afternoon, Scott Richmond present.
And District 7.
Dawn Deshawn Fewer present.
Our at-large members.
Tara White, present.
Nigeria Rolling Ford, present.
Thank you all. Everyone is present today. I thank you all for that. And we're going to ask now that we go to, and if everyone has a copy of his or her agenda, we're going to follow the agenda as prepared. And we're going to now go to item number 2, which is to review and approve the November 20th, 2023 meeting minutes. Is there such a motion?
I move that we approve the November 20th, 2023 minutes for the meeting.
I second.
Motion has been properly moved and seconded. All ready for the question? All prepared to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The ayes have it, and if it so moves, those minutes will be adopted. We're going to open for new business, and the first item is the review of the revised annual reports. I want to thank Henry for having ensured that everyone received a copy of the report prior to the meeting with that, time to go over and review, make comments, ask questions.
And Madam Chair, if you don't mind, I can just explain a little bit of
Certainly.
context. So as we discussed last meeting, the drafting committee comprised of Madam Chair Linda Shields, as well as Tara White and Dawn Deshawn Fewer, had worked on drafting the report, and with my assistance, last meeting we presented the report, and there are some changes. That's why I sent over a red line version so folks would be able to see what those changes are. They're mostly, they're not mostly substantive major shifts. One, first change on page 2 reflects that it's a modification to Madam Chair's letter, and that just reflects that Mr. Richmond, our newest member, didn't have the opportunity to yet complete the Citizens Academy. So that clarifies that technically not all members have completed the academy because Mr. Richmond hasn't had the opportunity yet. Of course, he will this spring. The bottom of that same paragraph, a suggestion by Mrs. Rolling Ford, to add that this board has met with several community groups and will continue to solicit their input. As always, any community group that you know of that has an area of interest, you want to have them reach out to myself and Madam Chair just to discuss. We're happy to do that. The changes, and it looks kind of crazy with the redlining. First on page 6, it's a clarification for Madam Chair that on the profession element on page 7, and this will be updated actually after today's meeting as well to reflect the recording agenda minutes from today's meeting, as well as from the December 8th ACC meeting, just so those can be linked so that members of the public can access that information digitally through our website. As I assume most people are not going to get a print copy, they're going to be looking on the digital copy. So that will be, there's changes there, there's additions. Those will be further added to after the adoption of this report. Again, assuming all members are comfortable with me making it up to date to reflect the most recent changes. On page 9, there's a clarification on the November 3rd ACC case that it was not a peace order, it was a protective order. That was the complaint alleged was not enforced properly. And of course, the updates to the December 8th ACC meeting, which are in fact by far the most volume of cases. And that obviously adds to it. Page 10 at the bottom, there's the addition of the number of community complaints that have been received by the police department this year. And I believe, and then of course at the end, it just decided to print out all of it.
Apologize, I meant to take.
No, that's all right. That's all right. So those are the changes as presented, I want to thank everybody who had reached out to me, whether via email or phone call, about any potential changes or corrections. And as of now, these are the only proposals that have been sent over from members to update the annual report. And there's obviously a clean copy that's been presented to everybody, both via email and also for those in person, hard copies.
I too would like to thank everyone for your input and time you spent on reviewing and acknowledging possible changes and necessary information that needed to make this report, the report that we will be proud to present. At this time, I would, if there would be a motion to adopt the 2023 annual report.
I make a motion that we adopt the 2023 annual report presented by Henry and our chair.
Second.
Any questions? If not, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposition? Be it so moved that the Baltimore County Police Board hereby adopts the 2023 annual report as presented by Coordination Manager Henry Henry Calgary, and moves that said report be forwarded to the Baltimore County Executive and Baltimore County Council and published on the Baltimore County Police Accountability Board website. So adopted. Thank you so much, everyone.
And just to add in there, as noted in that motion, the only statutory requirement is that this goes to the executive and the county council. It's being published on the website and it is a public document. So if anyone knows of any folks in their community or groups that would be interested, it's a public document, you can certainly share that as well with those members. Don't worry about that or think that it's not. That's the intent of this report, to be public and to be reviewed, and with the intent being that it can be the basis of not only policy changes or recommendations, but also that it can be used as a basis for future PAB annual reports going forward. So thank you, everybody, for your help on this.
Okay.
Thank the two of you for putting it together for us. Did a great job.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. And at this time, then we're going to ask if Ms. DeShawn Brewer would give a report on the Administrative Charging Committee update.
Yes, the ACC met last on December 8th, 2023. We reviewed a total of 10 cases. Of those 10 cases, 9 were Baltimore County Police Department officers and 1 was from the Sheriff's Department. So I'll just go through the list of what we reviewed and the outcomes. There were 2 use of force cases. The first one was unnecessary use of force. That officer was not administratively charged and was exonerated. The second was excessive force and racial profiling. The officer was not administratively charged and was exonerated. So those are the 2 use of force cases we had. The next one is discourteous language and unbecoming conduct. That officer was not administratively charged and was exonerated. Discourteous behavior. That officer was not administratively charged and was exonerated. Threatening demeanor and language. Officer not administratively charged. The complaint was unfounded. Targeting and harassment and downgrading crime statistics. The officer was not administratively charged and was exonerated. The next one is discourteous language, failure to create an incident report, and failure to use body-worn camera. The officer was not administratively charged and was exonerated for discourteous language and failure to create an incident report. The officer was administratively charged for failure to use the body-worn camera. Failure to provide unnecessary medical care. The officer was not administratively charged and was exonerated. And we had 2 cases that are pending disposition. The first one is failure to use body-worn camera. The outcome will be at our next meeting on January 5th. We've requested additional information from Internal Affairs. And the next one was discourteous behavior and failure to use body-worn camera. And we requested additional information from Internal Affairs to have an outcome for that case. We are scheduled to meet next year for the first quarter of January 5th, February 2nd. March 1st and April 5th. We are tentatively moving our meeting start time back to 12 p.m. pending the availability of that room. We've realized the volume of our cases has increased and we need additional time than what we've previously had scheduled. So we're going to start at 12.
Thank you so much, Dawn. Are there any questions for Dawn?
Sure.
If not, we thank you so much for your full report.
Thank
At
you.
this time, we will move to our public comment. Thank you, Henry. And we have present here today Major Gorman and Lieutenant Cross. And thank you for joining with us today. And if there's anyone who has any questions for them at this time, feel free. They're here and ready and willing to answer any of our questions.
All right, so Kara and Bianca, who both have questions. We want to start with Kara.
Okay, Kara.
That's not a public comment, so there's no timer for that one.
I don't know. No, I was just making sure that it was noticed that there was an attendee. Yep, that's all.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Wait,
you.
Bianca. Three.
And Bianca. Yes, Bianca, you're on.
Thank you for having me. This question is for Dawn, so I don't want this to take away from my public comment. Is that okay?
It would
We're
be a
in
public
public
comment.
comment.
That's the.
Well, okay. So
But I can.
I just wanted to
Sorry,
notate, Lieutenant Cross knows me well. I've had several complaints with the Internal Affairs Department. And one of the things that I did notice, Dawn has stated that there were 10 cases that they reviewed last week. And we noticed that the time went over an hour. I just want to make sure that the ACC doesn't have a time limit for reviewing cases. And if they do, how can we change that? Because 3 hours is not going to seem like enough time. I also noted, I had 2 cases before the ACC against Captain Latshaw, and then he also had a case last week, and he had a previous case, a trial board with an officer. So this is a captain at the police department with 3 cases in 1 year harassing women in the public and in the department. I also filed another complaint against him for harassment. And it just seems like I think it's very important for the legislative changes to allow the ACC to speak to the victim. I obtained the MPIA request for my first complaint against Captain Latchaw having me falsely arrested. And it never stated in the report the lawsuit I had against him, and never stated in the report that he was responsible for all 9 of my arrests. And it never stated in the report that he had me arrested for a ticketable offense. So you can't get arrested for a ticketable offense. Trespassing is a ticketable offense. So those are the things that I think the ACC needs to question internal affairs about, because there is a lot that goes into, I guess, the investigation that internal affairs does. But in my case, not one interview was done. Just last month, Captain Latshaw had walked up to me on the street and made contact with me. It was clear in the investigation that he wanted no contact with me. So why would this person walk up to me on the street? And I've made several complaints. I've talked to the chief of police. At this point, I feel like these are the things that the citizens are saying to you. If someone uses inappropriate language and does not have their body cam on, how can you exonerate them for using inappropriate language? They didn't have their body camera on. So you go with the officer who intentionally left his body camera off and used inappropriate language? That doesn't make sense. I think the ACC needs to include a way for the victim to write their own statement to give their own side of the events. We have a white male captain, Captain Elliot Latchaw, who had an issue with Corinne Gaines. He's had other issues that you can Google where he stuck his hands down a man's pants and fondled his genitals to obtain drugs. That went all the way up to the Court of Appeals. And this man had 3 cases against women this year and were exonerated. At this point, I think it is well known that this man has an issue, and the only way we can get him out of the department is if you speak to the victims yourselves and not depend on the recommendations from internal affairs. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Nigeria's hand was raised.
Nigeria?
I was just looking to find out if we can if the attendees can let us know what their jurisdictions are. I know it's Major Gorman and Lieutenant Cross, but if we could be a little more specific for the record.
Sure. They're from Internal Affairs Nigeria.
Thank you.
I apologize for not making that clear. Thank you so much. I believe that it's the end of our, I don't see any other hands or anyone else that requesting public comment. So at this time, we will, as the agenda notes, that the next meeting is scheduled for March 19, 2024, at 12 in this same location. And I will, at this time, take executive privilege, if you will, and thank everyone for your diligence and your dedication throughout this year. Thank you for your time spent. I know time is valuable. And I thank you for not just being present, but being active and concerned about all of the topics that we've covered. Your input has been immeasurable. Thank our administrative staff and all those who ensure that our meetings go on timely as they should. And special thanks to Henry for jumping in and guiding us to where we are today. Our topics are tough and our work is difficult, but it's rewarding to know that we're all in it for the same reason. We want a better relationship between the community members of Baltimore County and the police department and the state of Maryland as well. So we are grateful for all of your work and all of your dedication. Feel free to reach out to any of us at any time. You have our email addresses. And once again, I thank you personally for your support. So at this time, if there is nothing else under that category, then we're going to ask if there is a motion to adjourn. I want to wish everyone happy holidays and safety.
Thank you. Being so moved that the Baltimore County Police Accountability Board hereby adjourns until Monday, March the 18th.
Sorry about that.
2024, 12 p.m. in this same room, 118th.
Thank you for that correction. Thank you so much. Is there a second?
A second.
It's been probably moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing no opposition, this meeting stands adjourned. And once again, thank you so much and happy holidays to everyone.
Thank
Stay
you all.
safe.